Wow, Magnus is back. He was away on vacay or where, he says vacay. Who the hell knows where he was? So Magnus, I was talking to, I forgot who it was, but I was saying, oh, what are the top? By the way, folks, we're just talking. We're not giving you medical advice. Always check with your healthcare professionals. Okay, so we were talking. I was talking to somebody, and I'm asking you, Magnus, what, in your opinion, is the top 5 medical inventions of all times? Okay, so I think we forget and we take things for granted, especially people who are not in the medical business. Like, I'll start off with one. Pacemaker. The little people who don't know what that is, it's a little medical device that goes right underneath your skin and it helps your heart keep a proper rhythm. Now, you may be like, oh, who the hell cares? Well, before the invention of the pacemaker, probably late 60s, early 70s, you just die. so like little things like that. My grandmother had a pacemaker and she got it because she was getting when she was alive, may she rest in peace, but she lived till like in her 90s. Anyways, as you know, it started to kind of droop her face and she was slurring her speech and everybody's freaking out. And we're like, oh shit, turns out she needed a pacemaker. They put the little tiny, the size of a watch head in her chest. Boom, she's alive again. And she's like, hi, how are you? And it was just like, wow. So I would say pacemaker is, I'm not saying it's number 1, but it's a breakthrough. What would you say, Magnus, for you is one of your top ones?
So I'm gonna kick the bucket straight away, and I'm gonna say vaccination.
Wow.
This has been kind of a hot topic lately, that people say that you can get tremendously sick by getting a vaccination. I would say, like, you guys should probably check in what polio used to do to people before polio vaccination, and it's actually unfortunately coming back.
Right, because you got idiots that are not getting vaccinated. Magnus, let me just say this to people, and we don't have to say the virus. We all know what you're implying.
Yeah.
Because you're not allowed to even say the virus nowadays. But okay, when people talk shit about the vaccine, okay, and they say, "Oh, it's got the side effect." Everything has side effects. Aspirin has Aspirin can kill you. Everything has a side effect. So when doctors talk about and I know you know this, Magnus, I'm talking about to lay people out there. When a doctor or scientists talk about how good and important a vaccine is, they're talking on a macro level. It saves 50 million people. It kills 3 people. But if you don't get the vaccine, it'll kill 50 million. Hello? So it's unfortunately, it is a numbers game, but nothing is perfect. There will be side effects. People will die, but more people will be saved. That's what it comes down to. So, and you hope it's not you or your family that gets hurt or mental disabilities, but it saves millions of more people if you take the vaccine, any vaccine, than if you don't. And so polio, right, you're talking about, chicken pox also. So go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like, it's still important. I mean, I mean, we can twist and turns and look at all the arguments and contra arguments and things like that. Overall, like, vaccines have saved so, like, millions and millions and millions of people over the years. So I'm one that still believes in vaccines. I know that a lot of other people say that it's just big pharma. Okay, everybody are allowed to have their own opinion. Again, I can just point to the fact that it has actually helped to save a lot of people.
Right. I agree. Okay, so my next one would be the invention, I think it's Madame Curie, the X-ray. Before the X-ray, shit, I don't know. You got a tumor, you got a break, nobody knew. So the X-ray gave, and then we take for granted this, right? I know you're an athlete your whole life, so am I. I've had a bazillion X-rays. You go to the doctor for your dental exam, X-rays, no big deal. But think about it. It has enabled us to see right through the body. That, for most of human history, we couldn't do. And with that scientist's development, the X-ray then was the mother to everything else. Ultrasound, MRI, CT, whatever. Anyway, so the X-ray, big game changer.
Tremendous breakthrough. Breakthrough.
I would say maybe billions of people have been saved, because X-rays happen every day all over the world. All right, so man, what's your next one?
Oh, I'm going to go with something newer. I'm going to go with 3D printing. So 3D printing, it's going to be it has helped us to do things way more for the individual. Uh, and we're not just talking about that we 3D print something. You know, it could be a cast, it could be basically help with a limb and whatnot. We're also starting to look into 3D printing organs. So we will actually use stem cells from the individual and then start printing new organs for them.
Yeah,
I mean,
wild.
it's still not released yet, but the science and research in it, it's incredible. So 3D printing, we just start scratching the surface of it, but I think that's going to be a major breakthrough in a lot of things going forward.
Right. Yeah. No, you're a game changer. I would also say the invention of the microscope and understanding germ theory, because prior to that, we just thought, oh, God punished you, or the mystical mystics made you sit. No, now we knew. We know now, right? And so the bubonic plague killed millions of people. No one knew why. They thought it was bad luck or demons.
Yeah,
No, it was your hands are dirty. You're not
yeah,
washing your ass. Literally, that's it. Now
yeah.
with the invention of the microscope or even the understanding of germs, like, wait, there's some kind of little monsters on us? Yes. That understanding is kind of an invention in the microscope. Okay, good. Your next one.
So, germ theory is exactly what I was having too. And so, what I will twist it then and saying penicillin, so antibiotics.
You got me. That
So
was my next one.
they go hand in hand. So I think that's important that we talk about what can actually happen, and also that we're seeing that this change now to actually use antibiotics when we really need it instead of just giving it like
Popping
to the
them,
right
right.
and left. We talked about this so many times before, but like I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'm getting out like on the back end of a cold. Uh, I did not want to go and take any types of antibiotics because I know it's a cold, and like my body's usually take care of myself. If I need anything, it's mostly a sleep, rest, and some trying to get some nutrition.
Right.
But again, I would never try to start eating antibiotics for a common cold.
Yeah, no. So I always say 7 to 10 days, let your body handle it.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say
Not, yeah, go ahead.
you're gonna say?
I was just gonna say we're not in the 70s and like early 80s when we're saying like, oh, antibiotics for everything.
100%. Our bodies are
Yeah.
amazing machines. The
Yeah.
mapping of the human genome, understanding that
Yeah.
cancer diseases, there's subsets of subsets of subsets, and through mapping the genome, through mapping the genetics of any disease, now doctors can target smart and pinpoint that exact disease instead of blasting your whole body with God knows what. So mapping of the genome.
The Hugo project, it's so interesting. That was actually one of the first things that I did a work on when I started reading chemistry in at the university, and it was funny because one of the research groups within at my university was actually involved in that project. So it's something that I kind of still hold dear at heart. It was super interesting. It went actually way quicker than it thought it would be because we did not have as many genes as we thought that we did. So but it's still darn interesting. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So what's your next one?
So my next one, and this is something that we also take for granted, anesthesia. So
Oh,
actually,
I was gonna mention that. True.
yeah. So that's a super interesting thing too. I mean, like oh, what it was painful. Here is a piece of wood that you can bite into, or maybe you should take this bottle of whiskey and drink it until you passed out, and then we'll
Yeah.
do some surgery on you.
Yeah. Well, by the way,
So,
when they first invented anesthesia, you probably know this, but the first couple years, doctors didn't want to use it because they said, "Oh, that's the easy way out. You should have the pain, tough it out."
yeah,
You know, now, right? I mean, right? We talk about getting a colonoscopy. I just got one a couple years ago. Can you imagine? They're up there without anesthesia. Holy shit! No
yeah,
pun intended. There would have been a lot of holy shit going on. But
yeah,
okay, my next one, my last one, and then I would say it's an invention, but it's kind of an ancillary product, and that would be the advent of supercomputing. So,
yeah.
that the supercomputers now will be able to unlock cures for cancers or different diseases, paralysis, or biological infections, viral infections a lot quicker because now the computer, can run a trillion different studies in 1 second, so
Yeah.
it's just amazing. And that's one of the reasons why I think all cancers will be cured within 20 years. I think because of supercomputing and AI and all that stuff like
Yeah.
that, it's you can't outrun the super. So go ahead. What's your last one there, Magnus?
Insulin.
Oh,
It's
insult. Oh shit. I
simple.
thought of that. God damn it. All right.
Say a simple thing that we take for granted. Very complex. Used to take insulin from pigs before. Now when we can do it synthetically,
Yes.
clean, works perfect.
Yes.
A lot of we're talking about people that has type 1 diabetes,
Right.
basically would end up dying at an early age.
I
Now
I
they
had a
can basically live a fairly normal
if you
life, I would
pay
say.
attention to. Yeah, I
Yeah,
had a relative many decades ago before I was even born, but they didn't know what was wrong with him, and he was always sleepy, always tired, and he died from type 1 diabetes. And timing is everything. If he was
yeah,
born, today, no problem. They're going to
yeah,
get him. They're going to take care of him. They get the medicine. Back then, they just didn't know what was wrong with him. And it was like millions of people, billions maybe, have died like that over the course of history where no one knew what was wrong. You
yeah,
just died of natural causes. It wasn't. It was type 1 diabetes.
yeah. No, I
But
think yeah. No, like to be honest, our list of 10 things, because it's 5 + 5 = 10. It's really cool things actually.
yeah,
I mean, I'm so like I'm. It's also amazing that the human race are able to figure all these things out.
yeah. And
So
dude, I mean, I think towards the end of our lifetime, if when you and I are in our 80s, I don't know, man. I think we're gonna cure all the big ones. I think again, cancer will be a thing where we'll just be like, "What? People die of cancer." I think that's coming, and I think paralysis will be cured. I think anything to do with heart problems, no problem. They'll again grow a heart. Uh,
yeah, getting new
brain.
organs.
Oh yeah. So I
Yeah,
mean, you're gonna see humans live easily on average to 120, 130. I
yeah,
mean,
probably even more.
oh, for sure, for sure. I
And
mean,
then another thing too, I think that technology will also get more and more involved. So we actually gonna start seeing more cyborg like individuals. I'm not talking about we're looking like a Terminator.
oh no,
I'm
no.
just saying that we're interacting. We're gonna start interacting more and more with
Well,
technology
Magnus,
on our bodies and within our bodies.
well, and we already have the preludes to that, right? I think I said my grandmother, she had the little computer, the pacemaker. You have
Yep.
defibrillators that are in people's bodies. You have artificial, what you call it, uh, right,
Hearing.
cochlear
Yep.
implants,
Yep.
eyes. I mean, so this cyborg thing is a spectrum and a continuum. It's not, oh, it's going to happen someday. It's happening now, and it's going to continue to get people with prosthetic robotic arms and legs.
So let's see, camera. This my
Right.
phone, right?
It's gonna.
It's yeah. We're not. It's not plugged in, but we're so hooked up to
It's
it, and
right,
we're using it all the time.
and
So
it's
that's
gonna be
basically the start. That's just the beginning.
right. It's just another right. Come into the millimeter into the skin, and people are gonna do it. Anyways,
Yeah.
okay. So now let's talk about this. So I just recently, got back into weightlifting, and yeah, dude, and I did it because I want to strengthen my skeletal system, not to look sexy because I'm already sexy. But okay, so Magnus, what would you tell somebody who is just starting weightlifting, who's I guess any age, but particularly older
Yeah.
people, because some older people think it's still 1985 and they could still do what they could do when they were
Yeah.
20, but they're not. Okay, so what would you tell me, someone who's starting weightlifting?
Start slow. It's one of the most important thing that people forget, because like either they have been lifting and coming back and then just trying to hit numbers that they used to lift before,
Yeah,
and they're stressing things through, because muscles grow fairly fast. Ligaments and joint health, things like that, tendons do not grow as quickly. So we have to work slowly, and it's like uh, using something called progressive overload. So you're basically trying to achieve a little bit more all the time, a little
yeah,
bit more weight,
yeah.
maybe more reps, but still doing like using a perfect technique.
Right. Well,
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
those are two things that are super important.
To your point, it's kind of embarrassing because there was a 15-year-old girl or whatever, some teenage girl next to me that was bench pressing more than me. I bench pressed today just the bar only. Now I could do more than that, but Like I said, I have a lot of sports injuries that I already discussed with you, and I just, nothing is like the original parts God put in me or puts in us. So I can't sling around heavy weights like I used to, not because I physically can, but because of the injuries. So I want to be very cognizant and gentle. But you know what? It's a blessing in disguise because it's forcing me to do what you just said.
Yeah,
Take my time. So
yeah,
I'm going very slow. I'm not rocking back and forth, and everything is deliberate. And I'm there to strengthen myself, not to compete with the gym bros.
yeah.
But it feels great,
And
by the way.
that's something that is important. You're only competing against yourself. So
Right,
you're trying to improve yourself from week to week, month to month, year to year.
right.
This is not a competition of looking at someone and comparing yourself to someone that might be 30 years younger and in their prime. I
Yeah,
mean, that's just ridiculous,
right.
Uh, and also having an understanding, a lot of people that are trying to rush it, and especially like young kids that are just trying to rush through and get stronger and add more weights to the bar or the machine, is usually that they sooner or later they're gonna run into the problem, and that's usually the injury bug.
Yeah,
And that's something that, like, you're lifting to actually hinder yourself from injuring yourself,
yeah,
not injuring yourself. So that's one
yeah.
of the, like, if especially when you're training athletes. And I mean, I'd say this about, like, we're talking about general population too. If you're a trainer and you have a tendency to get your clients or athletes injured a lot, you're doing a very poor job. You should do the opposite. They should not get injured, and that's what you're trying to prove. And create that you are reducing the injury risk, and that's why you training.
Yeah,
So
no, I agree. Yeah.
that's super important too. I mean, like, yeah, I'm saying that's super important, super important. Everything is kind of important. Like,
Of
we're
course.
talking about, like, it. So a lot of people have a tendency to kind of miss the big picture about strength training,
Yeah.
and because it's so multi faceted. People, oh, you're just getting stronger and you're getting like giant muscles. Things like, no,
Mhm.
that's just a small part of it. Like, we're talking about the health benefits, about being able to have a functional metabolism,
Yeah.
actually have a functioning joints,
The
still
mental
have,
the mental health of it.
that's what's one of the major factors. It's actually been proven that uh, actually going to the gym and lifting weights, especially, is actually as good as getting going to a therapist. So
Bro.
people might not want to hear that, and especially like therapists. Well, you should no, but could you imagine the combination
Oh.
of actually going to the gym and talking to a therapist?
And
I
that's what
mean,
I'm doing now. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a double whammy.
Meaning cardio too, like
Yeah,
walking, it's free,
yeah,
swimming,
and
cycling, whatever.
and strength training too is one of the
Oh
best
yeah.
way of actually getting better cardio, because if you're doing it correctly, your heart is gonna work hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And I noticed that too. So, but yeah, it's fun. It's good to get back in the gym. I haven't been in the gym or weightlifting
Yeah.
for wow. I mean, I don't even know, maybe a decade. And so yeah.
And I think something important too that we did not mention, and that's the social aspect. We
bro,
talked about this earlier. The social aspect of actually being part of a
community.
gym,
Yeah.
or a CrossFit club, or a Olympic weightlifting club, or whatever it is you're surrounded by other people, and everybody is basically at the gym and trying to improve. Unfortunately, we see this little small part. It has become it's social media had made it way bigger, and it's the whole people that are trying to make fun out of people going to the gym. Yeah,
Yeah.
we all start out somewhere,
Of course.
and we might do. I doing a lot of weird exercises that might look funny to other people. The people that are actually within the kind of industry, they're, oh,
Yeah.
that's a tremendous exercise.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
someone say, oh, what is this fool doing? So,
Yeah.
so one thing that I want you to understand is, like, this is a small crowd of people. Most people at the gym, especially like the people that are there a lot, they're usually super friendly and will
Oh. Yeah.
take you under their wing, and help you out. Just don't go up mid set. Don't be rude or anything like
Yeah.
that. You come up like when they're in between. It's like, could I ask you a question or
Right.
advice? and usually
Right.
they're more than happy to give their
Yeah,
advice.
and you bump into people over and over again. You start to say hello. You meet people. It's very good socially, 100%. So I would encourage anybody to do that. You should. It's good for our health. And don't say you don't have the money, folks. You have money for shoes and alcohol and Netflix and bullshit. You got money for your health. So, anyways, Magnus, I'm going to wrap it up. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap this bad boy up? You're freezing. Did you hear me? Is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap this up? You're freezing on me, Magnus.
No, I think we had a little bit of a technical issue there. I think we're back.
We're wrapping it up and close it out, Magnus.
Okay.
I'm going to close this out. I swear to God.
We're good. We had a really good list, both of us. Sorry about the technical issues. See you guys hopefully next week.
Thank you, everybody. Like, subscribe. No, we were good. We made it to the touchdown. All right, everybody. 5, 4, 3, 2.